Welcome back to Scaring YouTube channel, where we delve into the darkest corners of the human experience. Tonight, we bring you a chilling tale based on true events that will make you question what lurks in the shadows. This is the story of the house on Hollow Hill. Grab your popcorn, turn down the lights, and prepare for a journey into terror. Before going into story, please subscribe to my channel. I get motivated to make more scary and horror. Let's the story begin. In the small, unremarkable town of Eldridge, there stood a house at the end of a long, winding road that was shrouded in mystery and fear. Locals referred to it as the house on Hollow Hill, a place where whispers of hauntings and sinister occurrences were passed down from generation to generation. For years, the house had been abandoned, the windows boarded up, and the yard overgrown with weeds. It was said that no one who entered ever came back the same. Our story begins with a young couple, Sarah and Mark, who had just moved to Eldridge seeking a fresh start away from the chaos of city life. They had heard the stories about the house, but they dismissed them as mere folklore meant to scare children. To them, it was just an old, dilapidated building, a relic of the past. Curious and emboldened by their youth, they decided to investigate the legend of Hollow Hill. One late afternoon, as the sun began to set and cast an eerie glow over the town, Sarah and Mark drove their old truck up the gravel path leading to the house. As they parked and climbed out, they felt an unsettling chill in the air. The trees surrounding the property swayed eerily in the wind, and the sky darkened ominously. Ignoring their growing unease, they made their way to the front door, which hung slightly ajar. "Do you think we should go in?" Mark asked, glancing nervously at Sarah. "Of course. It'll be fun. Just a quick look," she replied, trying to sound braver than she felt. They stepped inside, and the door creaked ominously behind them, as if sealing them in. The air was thick with dust, and the smell of mildew was overwhelming. Shadows danced on the walls, and the floorboards creaked under their weight. Sarah pulled out her phone to take pictures, while Mark explored the ground floor. As they ventured deeper into the house, they found remnants of a life once lived. Old photographs of a family that seemed to stare at them from the walls, tattered furniture covered in white sheets, and a broken mirror that reflected a distorted image of their anxious faces. But it was in the living room that they felt a chilling presence, a sense that they were being watched. "Let's check upstairs," Mark suggested, trying to mask his apprehension. With each step up the staircase, the air grew heavier and the temperature dropped. They reached the second floor, where the hallway stretched out before them like a dark tunnel. As they walked, Sarah felt a cold breeze brush against her cheek, sending shivers down her spine. "Did you feel that?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Just a wind," Mark reassured her, though he felt a knot tightening in his stomach. They entered a bedroom at the end of the hall, the door creaking loudly as it swung open. The room was bare except for an old rocking chair that sat in the corner, gently swaying as if someone had just left it. As Sarah approached, she noticed a faded journal lying on the floor. Curious, she picked it up and began to read. The journal belonged to a woman named Margaret, who had lived in the house decades earlier. Her entries were filled with tales of sorrow and despair, detailing her struggles with loneliness and depression. But as Sarah turned the pages, the tone shifted dramatically. The later entries spoke of strange occurrences, whispers in the night, shadows that moved on their own, and an overwhelming feeling of dread that consumed her. "Mark, you need to see this," she called, her voice shaky. Mark leaned over her shoulder, reading the journal's final entry, which sent chills down their spines. It read, "I can feel it closing in on me. I hear it whispering my name. I cannot escape. The house wants me, and it will not let me go." Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from downstairs, causing them both to jump. They exchanged terrified glances, realizing they were no longer alone in the house. "Maybe we should leave," Mark suggested, his voice barely above a whisper. "Just a few more minutes," Sarah urged, her curiosity overpowering her fear. But as they turned to leave the room, the air became thick and oppressive. The temperature dropped further, and the rocking chair stopped moving. In that moment, they felt an icy breath against the back of their necks, and a voice whispered, "Stay forever." Panic surged through them as they bolted down the stairs, but the front door slammed shut, trapping them inside. The house seemed to come alive, creaking and groaning, as if it were trying to hold them captive. They raced through the darkened rooms, desperately searching for a way out. Every corner they turned felt like a dead end, and shadows loomed larger as they ran. They could hear whispers echoing in the darkness, taunting them, filling their hearts with dread. Mark finally spotted a window that had been left slightly ajar. "We can escape through here," he shouted, with adrenaline pumping. They climbed onto the windowsill, but just as they were about to leap to safety, they heard a loud crash behind them. The rocking chair had thrown itself across the room, and the air turned electric with an unseen force. "Go! I'll help you," Mark shouted, pushing Sarah out of the window. But before he could follow, he felt a cold hand grip his ankle, yanking him back into the shadows. "Mark!" Sarah screamed as she landed outside, tears streaming down her face. She turned to see the window slam shut, sealing Mark inside the house. She banged on the window, but it was as if a barrier had formed, preventing her from getting back in. The whispers grew louder, filling the house with a cacophony of voices. "Join us," they chanted, and Mark could feel the weight of despair pressing down on him. He fought against the darkness that threatened to consume him, but the house was relentless. Desperate, Sarah ran to the front door, now firmly locked. She searched for something, anything, to help her save Mark. Just then, she remembered the journal. She rushed back to the living room, praying for answers. As she flipped through the pages, she found a passage that spoke of a ritual meant to free trapped souls. With hope igniting her heart, she gathered the courage to return to the house. She took a deep breath and called out to Mark. "Mark, listen. I found a way to save you." Inside, Mark felt a flicker of hope at the sound of her voice. "How? Please hurry." Sarah recited the words from the journal, each syllable echoing through the halls like a spell. The house began to tremble, the air electric with energy. The whispers turned to screams as the shadows surged around Mark, pulling him deeper into the darkness. Just as Sarah finished the final line, the front door creaked open and a blinding light burst forth, illuminating the room. Mark, summoning all his strength, lunged toward the light, breaking free from the grip of the house. He stumbled outside just as the door slammed shut behind him, the darkness retreating into the shadows. Sarah collapsed into his arms, both trembling and terrified. "What happened?" Mark gasped, his eyes wide with fear. "I think we freed them," Sarah whispered, glancing back at the house, which now stood silent and still almost serene. But as they turned to leave, a voice echoed softly from the window. "You can't escape us." The couple never spoke of that night again. They moved far away from Eldridge, leaving the house on Hollow Hill behind. But the whispers remain, echoing through the town, a chilling reminder that some houses hold secrets that refuse to stay buried. If you ever find yourself in a place like that, remember, sometimes curiosity can lead you to darkness you never thought possible. Thank you for joining us tonight. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share your own experiences in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe and keep the lights on.